Hello, and if you are watching, welcome to the show here at Warren Thornton. Hello, and welcome to WarrenThornton.com in partnership with Unprecedented TV, with Len Binopik, of course, and also with Brooker's Viral TV. By all means, go and give them a look. Very, very good shows, and we should be being joined by Len Binopik very, very shortly, and hopefully we will get into some things, of course, that are going on. Now, we'll have our normal roundup tonight. We've got plenty for you to go on. But of course, we have to talk our main topics tonight, or we will be having a deep dive into Marco Rubio and Jess Phillips. Marco Rubio, who has now appeared as the person behind, should we say, stopping any beats breaking out, and Jess Phillips, who is as being accused by victims who are actually right there of being the person who is trying to cover up and to smudge the inquiry into grooming gangs, where, of course, lots and lots of shenanigans and goings on have happened to people who have suffered really, really badly. Some people who are going to be suffering very, very badly, very, very shortly are, of course, the people in Ukraine, and they are still going through it left, right, and centre. Here's something to get you started. Here's Zelensky getting a royal visit. Now, there's a lot of nonsense that's being spoken about that. Sean Murphy.
I wonder if he asked the King Charlie boy to say, look, ask them guys if they can give me their rifles, please.
Yeah, we wouldn't be surprised. That's a good call. I think the problem that we have as well, Ralph, first of all, Charles walking behind. A lot of people get this wrong. When you do and you're asked to take the honour and inspect the guard, okay, the person who is asked to take the honour and inspect the guard gets to walk in front. So it's nonsense. We had this with Trump as well. We're having it with Zelensky. I'm going to be fair to both guys here. That's what they're supposed to do. They're meant to walk in front. So just in case anybody is coming up with it. Another thing I am going to stand up for Zelensky with, he isn't, this is a lot of nonsense that people are coming out with, that he's got these Elton John boots or whatever. Yes, he does have certain boots with lifts in them. They're not quite that pronounced. Somebody's put an extra couple of, should we say, layers on that. So if you are seeing that ducking about, just know that that's not the case. Okay. But there is very much more to get in rather than talking about Zelensky's shoes, should we say. And the major problem that we have, of course, is now the fall of the cross. Now, we've been telling you for ages that this is coming up, that, of course, they were trapped. But we've got a hell of a lot to talk about when it comes to this. Now, this is the southern part of the cross. As you can see, this is the railway line going across here. And, of course, we told you that they'd reached the railway line a couple of days ago, and indeed, they are now across it. So what we've got there is literally the smaller and smaller pocket happening, and indeed, Putin and Gerasimov, who is in charge of this, actually gave, should we say, Ukraine lots and lots of chances to lay down their arms. Mark Breckel is with us. Mark Breckel.
Yeah, Radinsky's fallen, and Putin's given them approximately 3 days, is it, to evacuate, or yes, they're finished.
Yeah, exactly that. And he's sort of holding off. Good call. Stole my thunder a bit there, Mark. Here we go. Let's have a look into this. So this is above the cross. This area here, as you can see. And, of course, they're cutting them off from the top in the north. And they can, as Mark said, they've captured this village here called Radinsk. I think I'll pronounce that right, Mark. I hope I have. Mark will correct me if I haven't. Now, very, very simply, that area above the cross is making it into more and more of a cauldron. And, of course, in Minorad, or Minorod, as people are calling it, north, there you can see they're pushing into these areas as well, not only into the south, but into the north. And as you can see, that gap is getting smaller and smaller. Now, we did tell you there were around about 11,000. We said there were 7,000 people there. Konstantinika is also suffering as well. As you can see, they are inside there now and fighting. The Russians have a foothold in there. And, of course, they are holding them off at the moment. But, of course, bit by bit, Konstantinika will be a little bit more difficult to fully control. But the area above the cross and Minorad has over 11,000 soldiers in. Now, remember, we told you they have already found close on 10,000 bodies inside on the outskirts of the cross. Now, this is the gap, as you can see here. Now, from this area here, there was meant to be a Ukraine push. So the Ukrainians were meant to try and make it here, but of course they've now been cut off as they leave. But they've been left to it and told to get on with it and battle as hard as they can. Now, this is Minorad. There are about 4,000 troops left here. There's about 7,000 troops here, and they will be trying to flee in this direction to link up with some forces that are here. Now, these forces here are Azov Battalion. Now, here's something that a lot of people do not know, is that these forces were asked to go in and relieve their fellow comrades, fellow people at arms. Lembit has just joined us. I'm very glad that he has. We're going to get Lembit onto the show very, very simply here, and then we'll go through it again very quickly for you. It's brilliant that Lembit's joined us because he's had all sorts of commitments, but Lembit has actually joined us.
I'm here actually to apologise because I'm a judge on a judging panel for a film festival, and we haven't finished, but I have to come and say I'm sorry. That's all
right, Lembit.
As soon as we finish, we'll come back, but I'll make up to you one point this week.
As soon as you finish watching, Guess Who Came to Dinner for 2025, by all means, pop back.
I will come back as soon as I can. Yeah, it's just a responsibility I've got to take on.
Just to
I'll
let you
call you
know
back.
that the Lembit
Yeah.
is actually judging an adult film festival. That's why he doesn't want to be.
If only that was the case. They're adult films, but not the type you mean.
We will see you when you are fit and ready to
Yeah.
come back.
I'll get in as soon as I can. So
No
apologies for
problem
that.
at all.
I'll come back as soon as I can. I'll keep you posted otherwise.
Fantastic. That's Lembit Opic for you. He will be back with us just as soon as you always know. Unless Ricky Gervais is hosting. Of course, these film awards, they always run over time. So Lembit will be back with us as soon as we can. So let's get back into what we were talking about then, because Krovsk is a real danger. And as we were talking about, the Azov battalion, these people who have been throwing people onto the front line, and these people who are meant to be the elite fighting forces, have actually told their commanders that they're not going in because they think it's suicidal. So they're leaving as they were supposed to do. Now, this is a bit smoke and mirrors. So we're going to get into this. If you remember, right at the start, we said that the mercenary soldiers and the Azov battalion people were leaving and leaving the conscripts to it. They left about 3,000 conscripts to it, and then they threw a load more conscripts in. So this is where people are turning around and sort of getting it slightly wrong, because they are refusing to go back in because they've already retreated, run away, whatever you like to call it. They've already gone and left those people in there. Now, they've thrown lots and lots of new recruits in there. So, of course, they're going to be like lambs to the slaughter. And as Mark Reckel was saying, they've been given a couple of days. Literally, Putin has given them a couple of days to actually put their hands up and surrender. If they do not, then the Russians are going to go in and finish the job. Mark Reckel.
And again, they're saying the Russians are killing civilians in Pokrovsk, which is absolute nonsense. I've heard that story before.
Well, that's always the way, isn't it? It's you will have noticed that throughout this war. Now, I'm not saying that they don't happen on both sides. Civilians do get killed on both sides. Daily, Ukraine targets civilians inside Russia. That's just a fact. There are thousands upon thousands of videos that you can actually go and look. And we're going to have a little look at a couple of videos that will literally tell you, or sort of turn around and say, why is this happening? Why is this becoming a terrible, terrible thing? And why are Ukraine behaving like this? There are lots of people who turn around and go, oh, that's nonsense. It's just, how can I put it? Putin turning around, it's Putin propaganda, Russian propaganda, all the rest of it. But that's simply not the case. Lee Williams, very quickly.
Yeah, a quick one. Is it the Ukrainian army that's actually killing some of the Ukrainians as well? Just
Yes.
as a guess? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, it's very, very simple. There is the Azov are basically blocking off the retreat as they do elsewhere. And we've shown you video after video of soldiers right on the front line trying to retreat. And then, of course, they bump into a hail of gunfire from their own people. Now, we've shown you live video from drones. It's really, really straightforward. And we're going to show you some of this now. Now, we're going to literally have a look at this. These are this, and this is the one that you're missing. That is a banner with all the faces of all the soldiers that are missing. That literally the Ukrainian people. That's no Russian propaganda. That's the Ukrainian people with a list and the faces of all the soldiers that are missing in this conflict. Now, we've shown you time after time that Ukrainian commanders have been taking the money and they've literally been hiding the fact that they're dead by reporting them missing. They stay on the books for the next 3 months and therefore they get paid. People go, oh, well, it just go into their bank account. No, it doesn't. The money for it goes to the battalion commander. And of course, then that money goes missing. And if you think that is completely untrue, it is nonsense, it's all Russian propaganda, simply not the case. Now, we're going to take you through. Mark Reckel.
And now where that banner is Freedom Square, and the Dnipro Hotel is very close to it. I've actually walked past where that banner is.
Yeah.
So it is genuine. It is actually in the centre of Kiev. It's Freedom Square.
It is, which of course, should we say, is not anything to do with freedom anymore. Now, if you think there is no sort of corruption like that going on, there is. This is Zelensky's. Now, obviously, the money was given for medals, 150,000 of them, to be made with precious metals. Well, 98% of them are fake. And where did the money go for that? Well, it's not an insubstantial amount of money. There is near on $10 million that has gone walkabout, and it's been shown that these, if you like, the difference between a diamond and cubic zirconia. That's the difference in the metals that were meant to be used for these medals for Ukraine war heroes. Sean Murphy.
I should imagine one of the most coveted jobs in one of these Ukrainian battalions is the paymaster.
Yes, yeah, very much so. And of course, there's endless stories of corruption and things that have happened. Now, you know, people will turn around. We're just giving you the facts. Now, the simple facts are that this is a corrupt regime. Whether you like the Russians or not, is neither here nor there. Very, very simply, there are people who are just blinded to the fact that the Russians, they're Russians, therefore they must be absolutely terrible. But Ukraine is an absolutely corrupt regime, 100%. We're going to show you a couple of things here as well. Here's a Ukrainian capture. So there you go. Even if you're a delivery man, you're going to get grabbed and thrown onto the front line. Now, these guys get about a week's worth of training. Now, it's a very strange thing there. You've seen the police have started doing that. It's because the TCC, or mobilization people, or press gangers, or whatever you want to call them, have been grabbing people. And of course, they've been photographing these people and putting them on a website so that when the war finishes, they know who to come and get. Where they've been just grabbing and beating people up on the front line and throwing them into, should we say, the front line inside a week. And of course, they are dying in great numbers, as we're about to see. Now, they'll turn around and tell you that the cross doesn't matter. You know, you have the 10 normal things that they come out. Russia are losing far more, but they didn't manage to take the cross for years. The cross is not, it doesn't matter, and everything else. This is the sort of thing you always hear. And one of the reasons that, of course, they couldn't get in there was the fact that they couldn't get in to help the cross. It's a simple fact that most of the time it's going in by the railway. And as you see, Russia now have control over that railway. And also the Russians have not just been hitting the energy structures, but they've been hitting the trains as well. Well, they combined the energy just outside of Sumy. They combined energy hits and train hits in one go. Now that was an oil train, literally carrying lots of oil to other places inside Ukraine. But it just goes to show that they are literally picking them off left, right and centre. Now, when we get all sorts of terrible things happening to the people on the front line, every now and again, we do get one story, which at least is good news. And we're going to show you for this. This is a man getting away from the Ukraine, or should we say, thugs, where they beat people up and throw them on the front line. This is a guy escaping. way, thankfully. And you're absolutely right. Somebody in the chat turned around and said, I bet they ordered that takeaway. Yes, they do. Basically, what happens is conscription, or TCC, as they call them. They will order a pizza or whatever. The guy will turn up, and they'll grab him and chuck him in there. They also have a thing called the honey trap, where they have girls that arrange to meet guys, and of course they turn up and they're grabbed and they're thrown on the front line. There is no form of capture that is, shall we say, beneath them doing. And of course, there is some good news to come out of Ukraine. Let's have a look.
So even as the much of Kiev here today is without electricity, the positive news is here. We're here at the Kiev Zoo. Why are we here? Because today this is what's happening. If you look over here, today we have the opening, a brand new opening, a time even when there's not much electricity in the city, but there's a place that has constant electricity. McDonald's is opening its 50th restaurant here in Kiev. I'm loving it. This is the place where families come together, especially when there's no electricity in Kiev, all coming together. Stay tuned and let's go to the new McDonald's in Kiev at the zoo.
You just know if the Russians are watching that, it's almost like a red rag to a bull. One of those where you sort of look at it and you go, thanks for telling us exactly what the target is. Of course, I'm sure that they won't hit it, but it would be absolutely strange if they didn't. Now, let's have a little look here. This is a place called Pavlov, just out in Zaporizhia. And this is the bridges being blown up here. And the reason for blowing up these bridges is to keep them inside. Of course, they don't want them going anywhere. And as you can see, all the areas around Zaporizhia, they're starting to make a move here. And of course, we're showing you some of the strikes that have been going on in that region. Heartbreaking.
Again, I was told 12 months and Zaporizhia will be in Russian hands. I did say 30 days for Pokrovsk, but they did it in a week. So
yeah, well, Pokrovsk isn't captured yet. They've still got to dig them all out. I know
they did say 30 days, Warren. They've done it.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Me on one of those. When it's fully in the hands, then it's fully, because of course people just go, oh yeah, but there's a tiny pocket of it. On one of those, when the Russians announce it, then it tends to be true. But of course people do, and of course, as we say, Pokrovsk is collapsing. Minograd is collapsing. We know that it's just a matter of time. Could be Ansk as well, Mark, which we both know is very, very close to going down. Louis Vastos.
Good morning. That area is where my father-in-law has got a dasher in that area. So I just hope he's not there.
Yeah, let's hope everything is okay and they're not there. And of course, there is a really serious side to this. Of course, is the fact that Ukrainians are dying for no good reason here. The war is all but over. They're even knocking their own drones out. They're even knocking the drones out of the sky quite comfortably. They are literally aiming drones at drones to take the Ukrainian drones out of the sky, as you can see here. Literally, they're managing to aim at these and knock them out of the air. So even the drone war is going badly in the skies. And in fact, we've got a little thing here, a gun, a Russian gun that is used on the Black Sea to knock down drones that are flying past that area. As you can see, the Russians have quite a good integrated air system. Now, that's not saying that the odd drone doesn't get through, of course it does. And of course, there is a deeper, much, shall we say, heavier price to pay for everybody that is taking part in this war. And of course, you've got all the idiots cheering on from the sidelines, and we're going to get on to that in a minute. But one of the things that we're going to have a look at here, this is Vovchansk, and this is the city centre. Have a look. Well, that's pretty much everywhere that is a war zone at the moment. Now, you get a lot of people coming out with a lot of nonsense saying, oh, it's not that bad, Ukraine are plucky, Russia are going nowhere. So let's get this, one or two of these lies disseminated. First of all, Russia don't need to go anywhere. Ukraine just keep coming and filling in the holes that Russia blasts, pouring men into that hole. They don't need to go anywhere. Land doesn't shoot back. It's going to be there. And of course, once they get rid of those people, and they're gone and they can no longer put up a fight, then of course they can just move into that area. And once they've secured it, it's not going anywhere. And of course, people are turning around and going, surely it won't be that bad. Well, it will. It's concrete farm inside Kiev. Now, the Russians are able to strike inside Kiev and everywhere at will, because they'll turn around and say, oh, you know, our air defense systems are doing this and doing that. They're not. They're not doing anything because they don't have. The air defense systems are almost, I'm not saying totally, but almost completely useless. They're of no good whatsoever. And the reason I can tell you this is, here's a picture of Kiev morning market. Have a look at this. There you are, people out doing their normal shopping. And of course, here's the other myth that they can blow apart. They don't deliberately target civilians, the Russians. If they did, nobody would be out there shopping in the markets. They know they're perfectly safe to go and shop in that area, even though there's smoke and damage and everything all around. It's a strange thing. And of course, you will hear all sorts of nonsense from the West, this, that, and the other. But of course, they don't target them deliberately. Yes. They are the odd one who's going to get killed. Of course they are. It's something odd as well that you might like to know. A Ukrainian drone actually landed in Kazakhstan. Not a Russian one landing in Poland, because you would have heard all about it. But a Ukrainian drone landing in Kazakhstan. I would bet dollars to donuts that you didn't hear anything about this. You see, we are just giving you what the West is not giving you, another perspective on it, because they do like to lie to you. And of course, they're going to do that over and over again. The propaganda that we get in the West is not the truth. Now, it'd be fine. We'd be out of a job if they were telling the actual truth, but they're not. And this is the problem. They're also telling lies about the number of dead. Have a little look at this. This, in 2025, is the bodies of soldiers that have been returned to both sides. So in other words, now we know we're correct with our figures because we not only have friends on the Ukrainian side of the fence, we have them on the Russian side of the fence, we have Red Cross, and we have other intelligence agencies feeding us the information. But this is the official list of bodies returned. So in January 24th, February, March, April, July, as you can see, these are the bodies of the Russian soldiers on the left-hand side, and these are the bodies of the Ukrainian soldiers on the right-hand side. Now, time after time after time, at one point, 6,000 were given back and only 79 came back the other way. That was in a massive exchange, if you remember, a few months ago. So that's not part of the official figures. And that was a one-off exchange. But as you can see, the official exchange, 279 to 7,544. Now, people will turn around and go, oh, but that's because they haven't got time to pick them up because when they move into that ground. So the Russians are going forward then, aren't they? Well, no, they're not. You know, this is the argument. This is the counter argument we'll hear. Russia are going nowhere. How are they picking up the bodies then? Is it because the brave Ukrainians are throwing themselves forward and they're penetrating in deep into Russia and getting slaughtered? No. It's very simple. The Russians are moving forward inexorably, slowly, and literally methodically doing it and pulling the Ukrainian numbers down with them. Now, it's going to get to a point where Ukraine don't have any men or have so little men left that they're going to have to drop back. Zelensky, every single time, is turning around and saying, this place is really important. Then, of course, when it gets completely smashed to pieces and taken off, he then turns around and says, oh, it wasn't of any strategic importance. And then the copium happened, which is quite incredible. Mark Brett.
Well, again, Zelensky stands outside a city sign and suddenly it falls. I don't know, know the reason for that. Yes,
he has quite a few selfies taken, doesn't it? And I'm going to give you a little thing here. Now, we tried to show this. Very, very simple. Whilst Starmer was here, whilst Starmer and Zelensky were making all sorts of pledges, and of course, Starmer came up with a 5-point plan. No Israel jokes, please. While Starmer came up with a 5-point plan, which is complete nonsense, of course, they're always doing this. There's a meeting of the coalition of the willing and a photo op where we get a load of kids outside and give them a flag. It's quite sickening because there are good Ukrainian people dying on the battlefield. And anybody who's been a soldier in a war knows how awful that is. Those who haven't will turn around and go, oh, well, you don't really mean it. Yes, I do. There are Ukrainians dying for this absolute lunacy that we have here in the West. And it is a lunacy. It's a Russia-phobia thing beyond belief. And there are many, many people that are turning around and saying, look, this is cruel. I suppose a good thing for all you people who don't like the climate. This is literally a wind turbine outside of Kramatorsk. They're flying drones into these wind turbines. The energy structure of Ukraine is being dismantled, and they have got nothing to stop it. And of course, you will have heard Zelensky coming out with all sorts of nonsense. So he was in he's been visiting various places. Friends, Romans, lend me your Patriots. No, not your people, your Patriot missile system. He's asking for a loan until the other Patriot missile systems are ready. That's going to take about 1.5 years. Each Patriot missile system takes that long to build. All this nonsense about, we can get all these Patriot missile systems. No, they can't. They really can't. And it's not. The system isn't worth a damn anyway, because the Russians find it very, can't bring down Kinzhal, can't bring down the new Iskander-Ms. It has only a 6% success rate. That's right. If you're hearing this for the first time, never mind all the propaganda that you're being fed by all the NATO lunatics and these people who are literally invested in it. Let's have a little bit of realism and a little bit of truth. Ukraine are losing over 20-1 on the battle. People turn around and go, well, that's not true, because I heard somewhere that 3 attackers to 1 defender. You lose 3 attackers for every defender. Complete nonsense. Drone warfare changed all that. That was a thesis put forward by a guy for his theory paper in 1995 in an American university. And everybody jumped on it like it was the word of God handed down. Mark Brackle.
Well, again, what Western news will not tell you that they'll fire a drone at Belgorod and kill a lot of civilians there. But what I keep hearing, there is no Patriot systems in Ukraine. They've all been blown up.
They have, yeah. And you're absolutely right. They are firing drones every single day. People can turn around and go, oh, that's not true. It is true. They fire drones into well-known, documented civilian areas every single day. The people who turn around and say, you know, Russia are putting up the great fight and all the rest of it, it's nonsense. It's brutal warfare on both sides. But the Russians at least are trying not to kill civilians if they can help it. But of course, nobody seems to care on either side. And there, should we say, not care on either side, but there's a lot less care taken by the Ukrainians in the preservation of life. And the peace deal is an absolute joke. And I'll tell you why it's an absolute joke. Because there are Ukrainian nationalists or neo-Nazis, X has stopped people from saying the N word. That's two N words now you're not allowed to say. We'll call them the neo-Nazis or the nationalists or the ultra-nationalists, whatever you like. And of course, the moment there's a peace deal, they'll go straight into the eastern Ukraine and start killing anybody who's an ethnic Russian. That is literally what they did 2008, 2009, 2012, and then again started again in 2014. Another myth you might like to know. Russia invaded Crimea. Yes, they did. On the 27th of February, 2014. After, on the 22nd of February, America got the Azov battalion and the far right sector to take over after they'd overthrown the democratically elected Ukrainian parliament. People would turn around and go, oh, it was a puppet Russian government. No, it wasn't. Yukhanovich played both sides of the fence. He did what he thought was right for Ukraine. But once again, NGOs got together like they do for anything to do with NATO, and then they literally take over that area. And of course, if you disagree with it, they cancel your elections. Or like in Georgia, they fund these NGOs to, of course, do all sorts of things inside that country to try and overthrow it. Anybody who's a friend of, literally, should we say, of Russia, then, of course, they're going to try and overthrow it. That's just going to happen. And, of course, the things that you see as well during the course of this war are quite staggering. Now, everybody who's seen Mad Max wouldn't have thought that we would see that sort of thing on the battlefield. But we can now. We can see this is the Russian turtle tank, would you believe? Have a look at that thing. Now, one of these already has survived 25 drones. Quite why you'd want to be inside that lumbering thing as it goes along the roadway, I have no idea. But there you go. It's made to blow up any mines that are in front of it and any drones. And they use them for clearing, or shall we say, exhausting Ukrainian supplies. Some of them, sometimes they're just driven on remote. But you never know if there's anybody inside them. So, of course, they've got to take them out rather like the drones, the Garand drones that they put up in the air and everything like this. There is another thing that we need to show you as well, because I think this is important. Now, when people talk about, Ukraine are doing this, that, and the other, the Russians are losing over 1 million men, it's complete nonsense, okay? Here is, right from the start, as you can see here, this is the exchange of bodies that were given back over a period of time when the exchanges first started. So as you can see here, we will literally go down it for you. And as we scroll down, you can see the differences. You've got Ukraine in the blue, doing very, very well at the start against the Russians in the red, okay? And as we go down, we can see here, suddenly it starts to change. From here, around about the 23rd of the 6th, everything was going pretty well their way. There was a couple of battles there where they managed to take those, should we say, Russian had quite heavy losses. That's when they were using tanks exclusively. And then things start to change. Some of the battles started in earnest, and of course it became around about 6-1. And then it became 8-1, and then it became almost 10-1 at one point. Then it became 12, 13, 14-1. We're now well over 25, in some cases, 30-1. But the average across the whole of the three years that this war has been going on, the average is 16 Ukrainians dying for every Russian. And of course, the numbers are right through the roof in terms of Ukrainians dying now. But that's because some of their best soldiers have absolutely been obliterated, of course. And people will turn around and go, oh, that can't be true. It is true. These people are dying in vast numbers. And it really is absolutely terrible that this is happening. And people who don't think that this is happening, honestly, you really do need to get a grip, because it gets worse and worse and worse. Let's get into some of this now, because this is, shall we say, the stuff that is going on. Here's now this is a rugby commentator called Mike Jones, but you won't see him on British TV. So we'll give him a play, and this he's going to be explaining things to you. Enjoy the video. And literally, this guy, a British guy, who went over there and has become, some will call him a Russian propagandist, some will call him a realist. You can decide.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on this Thursday, the 23rd of October. It's been a while since we spoke, hasn't it? So I'd invite you to a fireside chat, literally. Because there's not a lot to discuss, despite the fact it's been about a month since I last uploaded. And if you think about it, it means a lot, doesn't it? There's not much. What have we got? We've got Orange Donny, what he's decided this morning, what he's decided by midday, and then what he's decided at bedtime. Seems to change, and he seems to take great pride in that. Orange Donny, yeah, proclaiming he's going to be the Nobel Peace Prize winner, or other countries there on their knees, promising him they're going to vote for him. Of course, that didn't. It went to, wasn't it the opposition leader in Venezuela? Another place where Orange Donny is stirring the stick. Now, he proudly proclaims that he's ended 8 wars and he's on his way to a 9th with the Ukraine and conflict there. But he hasn't, has he? Because those were border disputes at best. A couple of people fired a few shots across somewhere, India, Pakistan, and you had Cambodia, Thailand or something like that. And Orange Donny came in and he just told everyone he was the best, and he's still doing it. It's what he does. It's what most Americans do, isn't it? All talk, very little delivery. Very little when it comes to action. And they'll big themselves up. They'll say they're the best in the world, but actually they're not. This week now we've had President Putin, the governor, spoke this evening, and he said this meeting in Budapest was actually at the behest of the US. So Orange Donny put the feelers out to the Gov. He wanted to have a tete-a-tete. And now Zelensky at the European Council has claimed credit for putting the kibosh on that. So Zelensky says that he has blocked that meeting because it can't be without Ukraine, which is bollocks, as we know, because Trump and the Gov met in Anchorage in Alaska without any problems, you know, really without Zelensky. All right, Zelensky waltzed in a bit later, didn't he? But, yeah, wasn't really with him. He could have waltzed into Budapest as well, so that wasn't really the deal. And then it sort of brings into question with Orange Donny, who's in charge here, mate? Is it yourself? Is it your advisors? Or is it your bitch, Zelensky? Well, it's probably not Zelensky. He's not on this planet half the time, is it? It's probably to do with the advisors, as we saw with Trump in his first term. Poor choice of advisors, and poor, not just choice of that, but then choosing which one to listen to. So I think in the morning, big Orange Donny gets up, he has a great idea. By midday, the advisors have sort of told us, yeah, Donny, yeah, we didn't have time to actually get to you, to give you your briefing this morning before you put that crap on, what was it, Truth Social, Twitter, that sort of thing. Yeah, and when you put in caps lock and thank you for your attention, bullshit. Yeah, okay, here's the situation. And then by bedtime, he's like, yeah, all right. Yeah, well, we're not gonna finish the Ukraine thing in 24 hours, are we, boys? No, we're not. No, we're not, Orange Donny, because you're still being a prick. Which is pretty much what the Gov said. See me? He said the US, if they actually wanted honest dialogue, Russia could work with them, but as long as they're pursuing coercion, which they are. Look at Colombia and oh my gosh, Colombia and Venezuela and all that stuff. Stop the press, hold the phone. You mean to tell me America is meddling in South America? When has it not? When did the CIA stop? That's not news. What it looks like to me is Hegseth has had a little gander at the boats being blown up on Russian drone footage and gone, oh, I like that. Let's bring Michael Bay in and do the same when no one gives a crap or no one's got the power to intervene. I know, South America, Venezuela, they got lots of oil. Let's mess around with them. So again, not news, just a waste of airtime and article space. And that pretty much sums up Big Donny. These protests against him, I don't know how genuine they are. I don't care. But I will say this. Is it really befitting of the office of the President of the United States to then upload an AI-generated video of Orange Donny shitting them on them all? Or dropping excrement from a fighter plane? No, I don't think it is. I wouldn't expect President Putin to do that, for instance. And imagine the Western media if President Putin did do that. I mean, it would be quite funny. Imagining it. But, okay, so there's protests against President Putin. And President Putin's response is to do an AI video of him taking a shit on them at a great height. They'd lap it up, wouldn't they? They'd go mental. But when Orange Donny does it, it's like, I didn't see much outcry. Was there any in the US media? I know the libtards would scream about it, and probably that's the point. My point is, for someone like Elon Musk, you know, if someone's protesting Teslas and all that, if he does it, that's a bit different. It's not an official office or a position, is it? Okay, it'd be labelled insensitive or whatever word they'd come up with. But I did not think that the President of the United States would be posting that kind of crap. And the more I see it, if you haven't watched Mike Judge's epic film, Idiocracy, if you haven't seen Idiocracy yet, absolutely do so. For those of you who have, I think you'll agree that every day we're headed towards Idiocracy, where you've got this clown of a President of the United States. I've got a plan.
So that's obviously Mike turning around and saying how much he dislikes Trump. But I would literally go on the other part of this. Now, the problem that we have here, of course, is the nonsense that Trump is making. All these decisions. He is just as locked, and I would put forward, he's just as locked in as anybody else who would be President of the United States. And the person who's actually running things is Marco Rubio. Now, Marco Rubio, I have been warning for months and months, in fact years, that this man is as dangerous as they come. He is completely 100% a war hawk. He's 100% a neocon. This is also a guy who has accepted over $1 million from Israel lobby AIPAC, and he is a Zionist donor and he has a Zionist donor in Miami who gave him over 10 million for his presidential run, who hired Rubio's wife and helped pay personal expenses for Rubio. Now, Marco Rubio is somebody who has a long line of, shall we say, a string of strong opinions would be the nicest way to put it. And of course, even though Maduro has made all sorts of concessions, literally bent over backwards to accommodate America, Marco Rubio wants regime change and has refused any, shall we say, offers by Maduro to let them have oil concessions and all the rest of it, where he's literally almost given Venezuela away. Marco Rubio doesn't want that. He wants Maduro gone. It's all about regime change. It was never, never, ever about the drugs. Anybody who believes that to be the truth has got a bridge to sail. Rubio literally, should we say, is pretty awful, and he's a pretty horrific human being. The problem that we have, of course, with this guy is he is not going to stop. For years now, as I say, we've been calling him Little Damien from The Omen. We said over and over again, as I said, this guy is not neocon-like. He's as dark as they come. He's in bed with every institution willing to cause people harm that you can think of. He is, and always has been, the man behind scuppering Trump's presidency and making sure that America rule the world is the #1 goal, no matter what the cost to anybody else. He is literally military-industrial complex, Israel and BlackRock all rolled into one package, and not one single human being is safe on the planet with him in the corridors of power. Here, I have not been exaggerating how much power Lindsey Graham's love child has wielding behind the scenes. As I say, he's in bed with all the war hawks. He's in constant contact with the coalition of the willing behind Trump's back and directing traffic from behind the Kellogg's and directing the traffic behind Kellogg and the European Union. It is now emerging, thanks to the administration and people who are saying, warned me the moment Trump appointed him just how dangerous he is. The warning back then was this is a new president of America. He just hasn't been voted as such. Now, as I say, Maduro gave concession after concession for oil companies. Not enough. He wants him gone. The coalition of the willing wanted no change in policy after the Alaska summit, and Rubio worked tirelessly to nudge Trump away from what was agreed in Alaska. Finally, someone lifted the lid on those of us in the know had known and were accusing Rubio of for years. He was and is the war maker and peacebreaker, the man who scuppered Budapest. Everyone at the Trump administration knows who the power behind the throne is. He's the anointed one, and eventually, for them, the elected president of the USA rather than the unofficial. It's all, as I say, this is being arranged behind the scenes. Vast sums of money from the military-industrial complex are being arranged ready for Rubio's campaign. And the reason that this has come out about Rubio now is not to show that Rubio is against Trump, even though it does show that. It's to show the world, look, here's Marco Rubio. Here's a strong leader, not a dithering one who keeps changing his mind every time. Now, if you think this isn't being arranged, you're wrong. They will say different, of course, after the Democrats won't be unhappy with Marco Rubio as the next president of the United States or the Uni Party. Yes, you did hear me right. They'll say different after putting forward utter lame ducks such as Cortez, Alexander Ocasio-Cortez, Yasmin Crockett, or Gavin Newsom. For a long time, we've been warning about this guy. Only the voters can stop him, and they have to do in vast numbers. Now, Trump has firmly got into bed with his greatest enemy, and the sharks are circling, and there is none more deadly than him. Ever since he was brought into this administration, the alarm bells have been ringing. This is not a hill that everybody has to die. Not a hill that everybody has to die on, but if he is left unchecked, it is a hill that everybody will die. Simple as that. I cannot stress enough how dangerous this guy is, and this is from our people right inside the administration. You saw this ages and ages ago coming up. So if you are one of these people who is not aware just how dangerous and how bad Marco Rubio is, not only for America, not only for Russia, but for the rest of the world, you are now fully aware. You can't say that you weren't told. Almost everything that comes out of him negative to do with wanting wars with whoever that might be or overthrowing regimes is coming through the State Department, through Tammy Bruce and his people there. So do be aware of just what Marco Rubio is. We're going to linger on Ukraine a little longer before we come to NATO, because we've got some fun for you. Now, we showed Mark Jones there, who is obviously a very pro-Russian, but we're going to give a pro-NATO guy his shot at glory as well on Friday, and hopefully he will come and join us. But the very first thing I want to impress upon you to do with Ukraine. Now, we can't normally show you these sort of pictures, so we've had them blacked out, as it were. But in Zotomir, there was a man who was grabbed off the train by the recruitment, press gang, whatever you like, thugs of the Ukraine military to drag off to the front line. Now, they get a couple of weeks training. He blew himself up with a grenade, taking 3 of their conscription officers with him. That's right. The guy was willing to die by committing suicide with a grenade and take a few of them with him rather than go thrown onto the front line, where, of course, he's going to die anyway. That's going to happen. Nothing is more certain. Mark Breckle.
Well, again, the rumoured now that they're going to conscript women. Now, there was a woman arguing.
Ready, buddy.
Oh, right, great. There's a woman who was arguing with the TCC, and the TCC knocked her out, and she was lying on the pavement. Yeah. That's
absolutely. She was refusing to go. He was grabbing her, and when she resisted, he smashed her in the face, laid her clean out on the ground, and it took a guy coming and dragging the guy off. But it was quite incredible. She was of age, so quite amazing. But there is no There is nothing that they won't do. And this is my point, is that we in the West are condoning this. And it is quite staggering. And of course, there are all sorts of nonsense coming out. Something that is not nonsense is the new Russian cruise missile. Now, this is called the Beresnevik. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And this is a nuclear turbojet jet. This can be fitted with a nuclear warhead. And the whole idea of this new, shall we say, toy that they've got their hands on, it's capable of obviously 1,300 kilometers an hour, but the range of it is unlimited. You heard me right. The range of this thing is unlimited. It can reach amazing distances. And of course, Putin has already announced that this is available. Mark Reckle.
Best in the world, they say. And the other word for it is actually storm petrol.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly got everybody talking. There are loads and loads of people now that are already getting into it and trying to find out everything they can about it, because obviously after the Oreshnik, and the Oreshniks are being tested in great numbers as well, which is causing all sorts of problems, as they say, and it's going to continue to cause problems, as they say. So we're going to see more and more of these Oreshniks turn up on the battlefield. Now, there is also some absolute nonsense out there coming out, lots and lots. We are being told that, of course, there is a honeypot in Silicon Valley. So female spies are waging sex warfare to steal Silicon Valley. Of course, it's China and Russia, it would be. Are sending attractive women to seduce tech workers, lucky old tech workers. Even marrying and having children with their targets. Really, please. This is beginning to sound like the internment of the Japanese, isn't it, in World War II? It's the Wild West out there, says an insider. Notice nobody's ever putting their name to this thing. Of course, so this is apparently China and Russia are getting honey traps of women out in Silicon Valley. Now, spies have been doing this for years. There's been honey traps around for years. In fact, the Israelis do it for fun. So it's like a Bond movie, isn't it? So there we go. Silicone for silicone, it looks like. So that is what they are claiming, or our Western mainstream media are claiming is happening at the moment. And of course, everybody will turn around and say that's true or not true. Now then, Ryder.